if every one of you gave just $1, that would not be enough. I probably should have brought my calculator up here. The only problem with calculators is you need two hands for one of those things. As you probably know, we don't allow much technology in the classroom at Chesterton Academy. Although the other day before a test, a student asked for an electric eraser. And we almost wanted to give it to him. You know, most of our students really relate to math very well because math is full of problems. But the point is this: a school is not a factory, and students are not made by machinery. Okay, before I talk about our students and specifically about our seniors, I do want to propose a toast. You didn't think I came up here to drink all by myself, did you? Ladies and gentlemen, last summer, we held our national conference for the Chesterton Society here in the Twin Cities. And our keynote speaker was Bishop Robert Barron, who just had to drive up the road from Rochester. But Archbishop Hebda very graciously agreed to come to the conference for the sole purpose of introducing his brother bishop as a speaker. And he came just a couple days before he was having hip surgery. And when Bishop Barron got up on stage, he said to the crowd, most of whom were not even from Minnesota, that we have one of the great American churchmen as our archbishop. And he said that the bishops around the country have a deep respect for him. And I just love that epithet, one of the great American churchmen. Your Excellency, thank you again for all the support you've given us at our school, but thank you for being a faithful and lovely shepherd for our archdiocese. This is to Archbishop Hebda. Here we go. All right. Now, you only heard from two of our seniors tonight. We had a very difficult decision. We almost always do, choosing the two most representative seniors to speak at the gala. And you missed a lot by not being able to hear all of the speakers. For instance, you missed this great line: "Coming to Chesterton was one of the best decisions I've let happen to me." And you missed this very this practical insight from one of our senior boys. Girls like men who help children or old people. Now, both the speeches tonight were about transformations. And I would have to say that was a running theme through most all of the senior speakers, in their senior speeches. All of them had gone through a transformation. Some had come from different schools, transferred in the middle of their high school career. One young man said how he'd never acted or sung, never studied philosophy or theology. But with studying those things and with going to daily Mass and confession, he too underwent a complete transformation in his life. And other students would single out one of those things as being the thing that changed their lives, that confession changed their lives, that drama, being in a play, changed their lives and made them more comfortable with themselves. Or philosophy. One student said his transformation came about when he understood the logic of Catholic morality. One student said how he'd been just immersed in a popular culture at his previous school, and he said popular culture does not prepare you for anything. It only desensitizes you. What does prepare you? Well, all the things we've been talking about. The things that we teach, philosophy and theology, along with the other classes in the Chesterton curriculum, but also art, and also giving the sacraments. These are the things that set our school apart. But there's something else. Another transfer student said how when she came to us, she was met with a flood of joy. She said, Jesus is present at our school. More than one student, however, talked about how they struggled with scrupulosity of that sense of not measuring up, of not being good enough, and how they overcame it. One said, instead of listening to my own anxious thoughts, I listened to God's voice. Another said, zealousness is evil if it is not grounded in God. And another very mystically said that at Chesterton, God asked her two questions. Do you trust me? And do you have the strength to obey my will? These are all immensely encouraging and inspiring things to hear coming from our students after they've been through their time at the school. But I will say that there was one of the sweetest and simplest statements that most struck me. Chesterton Academy is as classical as advertised. There is a fascinating juxtaposition of the old and the new at our school. I will confess that I do sometimes allow the school to take advantage of certain modern technology. For instance, we do make use of that technology that was developed rather recently in history, the printing press. 1450s. We think it's just a great privilege in the 2020s to keep teenagers off their screens for 8 hours. So that they can read books. And they read books, some of which were written 3,000 years ago. And they study geometry problems and philosophical questions that were laid down well over 2,000 years ago, which still sharpens the mind and lays the foundation of logic and reason. And they chant music that was written 700, 800, 900 years ago. Imagine, they are singing music that was written almost a millennia ago, and we get to hear the same thing that was heard by people almost 1,000 years ago. And not for entertainment, but it's part of our worship. As at daily Mass, these kids chant, and we really experience that communion is not just with each other, present, but we share communion with generations upon generations that came before us. Chesterton says that one of the advantages of getting older is that we discover that traditions are true and therefore alive. Traditions are not dead things, they are living things. He says we can impose education without having it ourselves, but we cannot hand on tradition without having it ourselves. At our school, we are not obsessed with the new, and we are edified by the old. The new flees like any other fashion, whereas the old remains because truth does not change. I would like to take just a minute to go crazy with a metaphor by G.K. Chesterton. Watch closely. He says that an army cannot march on forever when its communications are cut and it has lost touch with its base. In the human army, the communications are called traditions. The base is the truth. The traditions connect us with the truth. So I'd like to start by adding that an army not only cannot march on forever if its communications are cut, it cannot do battle. We will thrash incoherently, will be defeated if we lose communication with our base. The right education is part of what maintains the human army. We stay connected to the truth, we fight for the truth. And I'd like to carry that metaphor one step further. In the old days, before cell phones and telephones and telegraphs, communication between the base and the front, the battlefield, was carried on by soldiers, by human messengers who had to risk their lives carrying reports and instructions back and forth. Today, in this battle that we are fighting with the world against a philosophy of learning that is completely antagonistic to ours, our messengers are the teachers. And they are the ones sacrificing themselves, laying themselves on the line, risking everything to carry out our mission to bring the truth to our students. And so here's another toast to the teachers of Chesterton Academy. One of the reasons we have to raise money tonight, my friends, is so that we can pay our teachers more. What's the difference between a teacher and a large pizza? The pizza can feed a family of 4. I haven't done the big ask yet, but it's coming. But I hope this is warming up your pen. We're not afraid to try new things, but we will not compromise or neglect the traditional things, the classical things, the true, the good, and the beautiful. The modern approach to education is precisely the opposite. The modern education regime insists only on the newest things. It actually forbids tradition. It constantly condemns the past and its achievements. It literally tears them down. Chesterton says merely modern books, merely new books tend to narrow us. They tend to shut us in with the mere immediate version of the problem. We require old books to broaden us. And listen to this. He says some of the most enormous and idiotic developments of our modern thought and speech arise simply from not knowing the parts of speech and the principles of language. The answer to most modern sophistries can be found in a book of Latin grammar or English grammar. The modern laxity of language has had a great deal to do with the ultimate laxity of conduct. My friends, the attack on language, on words, is an attack on truth. And we have to have the courage to defend definitions of words and basic grammar, such as pronouns. And if our schools cannot accomplish that, they simply cannot be trusted to accomplish anything else. And one last quote from G.K. Chesterton so that you can understand one more reason why he is our patron. He says, "In the present, we are sacrificing what is natural and eternal to what is morbid and temporary. If our social conditions curtail manhood and womanhood, we must alter those social conditions. We must not go on quietly in a corner, making men unmanly and women unwomanly, that they may fit into a filthy and slavish civilization." He said that in 1909. That's why we named a school after him. My friends, this school that we have built together is part of a movement that will change our civilization. It is part of a growing network. This school is being replicated all across the country with parents just like you, supporters just like you, teachers just like our teachers, students just like our students whose lives are being transformed by what they experience at a Chesterton Academy. Next fall, there will be over 60 Chesterton Academies across the country. We are giving our students the tools of faith and reason. We are decking them out with the armor of God so that they can go to battle, so that they can defend the Catholic faith and defeat the enemy who is the devil. The devil sows confusion and discontent. The gospel brings clarity and peace. We proclaim the gospel at Chesterton Academy. It is evangelization through education. It is abundant life in a culture of death. And tonight, I'm asking you to stand with us once again and support us as much as you can so that we can carry out this great mission for the glory of God. God bless.